What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, presented as always by Pure Options Craft Cannabis. Pure Options with some incredible St. Patrick's Day deals going on through St. Patty's Day, and then March Madness deals. It's a great month to introduce yourself to Pure Options if you haven't already. Also helps with March Madness anxiety. Go to pureoptions.com. Download the app today. You can join their Pure Perks loyalty program like we have and have your Pure Options experience tailored just to you, sent right to your email box. And our Monday afternoon show, also presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. It is Muskox month. I'm telling you, if you're going to be in Cleveland, following Michigan State around, which I think is going to be East Lansing, East or whatever you want to call Cleveland, East Lansing on Lake Erie, you might want to call it. Look your best, feel your best. Don't worry about a jacket. Just walk around in a Muskox flannel. Go to gomuskox.com and use the promo code FIXITINPOST, where Couch and the Rube listeners get $15 off a flannel purchased. Again, FIXITINPOST, all one word, at gomuskox.com. Look, you see me around in a Muskox flannel. You've seen Jason. We are hideous creatures who look decent. Like, you go from awful to model to looking like a model, and you feel good. There is nothing more durable, more comfortable than a Muskox flannel. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Instead of the, right?
Hey, buddy, what's up? No green today, huh? You don't celebrate St. Patty's Day?
I'm a Brit. So
what does that mean?
Well, I mean, this is the day we definitely don't wear green. Yeah, yeah.
So you celebrate it like Christmas. You just don't do anything.
I enjoy St. Patrick's Day. It's changed. When I used to live in Chicago, I hated it because it'd be like you want to go to your usual place for lunch, your usual sports bar, whatever it might be, and then it was just flooded with drunk Americans. The floors were sticky in every establishment. It was just
drunk Americans.
Not a great day. The people are trying to offer you green beer, like just beer with dye in it.
Yeah. Keystone Light beer.
And then I had a few years. What I don't like is when, like, I like that St. Patty's Day and March Madness did not really collide this year. That's my big pet peeve, when bars don't really know what to do because it's like the games are on and yet they've got some Irish folk singer who's been paid to play in the corner. It's like, well, we'd kind of like the volume to the game. St. Patrick's Day shouldn't be in March. I've always said it shouldn't be in March, but it is what it is. So
did you drop that take on Twitter? I know you were busting out some classics. If you're playing the Graham Couch Twitter drinking game, man, oh boy, were you hammered.
I was hitting the hits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you schedule those, or are they just like natural?
No, every 4 hours one comes up.
That would be smart. Just keep bombing, throwing them out there.
The problem is, if you did that, there'd be some natural disaster, and it would really, like, all of a sudden, it would be just, it really feel out of place. Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Wouldn't be able to get to your phone.
Yeah, and I'd forget, and then be up there and be like, look at this clown. What an ass. Which would be a fair assessment, but yeah. So
you're excited about Cleveland. You and the boys, you and the Scribe boys, you guys ready for Cleveland?
I mean, I haven't been to Cleveland in a while. I used to go for the MAC tournament every year when I covered the Mid-American Conference, and I lived in Kalamazoo.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So you had to go from KZoo to Cleveland, huh?
Every year. And I liked it. I haven't been in a while. I'm looking forward to it. I wouldn't mind a place that was a little more exotic, but you know what? It'll be fun. It'll be one thing I do love about Michigan State playing the final game at 10 o'clock on Friday is you get to watch a lot of games before then. Like, often if the game is early, then you are covering it and then working after, and you don't see a lot of the games. So from like a pure viewing experience, it's ideal. It's great. So for me,
you guys will be getting together and going somewhere to watch the games. You, Solari, and
sometimes Windsor. Windsor will have us at some out of the way haunt. Yeah, someplace that has this barbecue.
I usually just say Solari's name so I could just play that.
I know that. I figured that out. You're good. We are going to do a bracket pool, which we'll have up either tonight or in the morning, and we'll get that out for people. So if you want to take part in the Couch in the Rube bracket challenge and compete against us, men's and women's, again this year, so that'll be fun. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm getting down to Raleigh for the MSU women's game as well. But
Well, what's to figure out?
well, they
Got to go or no? Right?
well they play on Saturday between the two men's games, and then they play on Monday. So if they get to Monday, I'm hoping to be there. That's my
Damn, no
that's
couch
my
in the
plan.
Rube show then.
Well, we do it remotely maybe, but you're going to be getting back late anyway. You're going to be in Vegas.
Oh, that's
this week.
right. I am going to Vegas, yes,
Yeah.
Thursday. And I will be at the Sphere on Friday during the game. We're going to see the Dead and Company. So I'll be in the Sphere. I didn't really, when we got the tickets, I just was like, I don't know when Michigan State's going to play. So we had to kind of plan around it, right? So I'm like, okay, because we're going to the Red Wings game, Red Wings Knights game on Saturday night. So whenever they were going to play, I was just like, okay, I have a phone. I can check the score, but I'm going to be in the Sphere, which I've seen videos of this thing, and there's going to be MGs, and there possibly who knows what else. But I mean, there's going to be definite MGs, and I'm going to be in the Sphere. How am I going to pay attention to the game, the phone? It's insanity. So
And
it'll be interesting.
You're going with your buddy Jordan, who's a Michigan
Yes.
fan, and their games at the same time.
Michigan fan Jordan is going with me. Yes. So
Does he care about basketball
he cares now, sure.
right now?
I mean, compared to football, I think he would even tell you that he's not the same level. But I mean, he's going to have enough money on it to where he's going to want to care no matter what. So, yeah, it'll be. Might see Harry out there. Harry's going to be at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club out there with Cousin Sal. He invited us out there, so we might go see Cousin Sal. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so
That'll
it's
be
going to be fun. But I just don't. Last time, 2016, we were in Vegas as well, and we know what happened there. 215 seats, so I'm like, oh shit. So I'm going to be in the Sphere. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope Michigan State can win.
Well, should we dig into these takes?
Go ahead, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start there. I think you're going to be okay. I think Michigan State's going to play a second game.
But what about Phil Martelli Jr.?
I think he's a good young coach.
Yeah, okay.
And I think this Bryant team is an interesting team. Like I've watched some video on them. I've looked at all the numbers. They are. I think in some ways that there's some, not entirely, but there's some Michigan State like qualities to them. Right? They're really good protecting the rim. They're good at defending the three. They play at a little more regular pace than Michigan State, but Michigan State is happy to run with them. It's a good matchup in that sense. They're pretty big around the wing. Like, they're not bad. They have a couple guys who can hit threes. They have one guy in particular who I really like who can score at every level. But they're not a great three-point shooting team overall. Now, we've seen that, one game it can be a disaster and a team gets really hot. I think this is a good matchup for Michigan State. I don't think, they're going to be completely overmatched to the point that they're not able to. We've seen some 116s and occasional 215s where it just gets really, really ugly right away. I don't think that's this. But I think Michigan State will win comfortably. The only game they played against a high major all year was at St. John's, which is also a 2 seed, and they lost by 22. They won their league, but they didn't just drub teams one after another in their league. I don't think they'll be intimidated by this setting. They've got some veteran guys. I think, but I just think it's a good. I think the whole draw for Michigan State was pretty dang good. And I say that, and I know Auburn's at the end, and people can talk about Michigan being in the same bracket. And Solari last night kept bringing up, asking questions about Michigan being in the same region. Michigan State's dream would be to play Michigan again. Not just because you want an opportunity to beat them, but what I mean is that means Michigan took out Auburn. If you're playing Michigan, you would rather play Michigan than Auburn.
Right.
Now, if you're worried about losing, you'd rather not lose to Michigan in an Elite Eight to have them go to the Final Four. I get all that. But I think overall, when you look at who Marquette is or New Mexico, those are good teams. And you look at I think Michigan State's better than both of those teams. And as they should be in a 2-7 matchup. Michigan State has been the 7, and we've seen what that's looked like in recent years. Now, we've seen Michigan State get to a Sweet 16 from that spot not long ago. It can be dangerous. Those teams are capable. But then when you look at down the road, Iowa State playing without their lead guard now, who's out with a groin injury. I don't even know if it'll be them. I think Ole Miss might get there. Those are good teams. Ole Miss beat Tennessee, played Auburn tough. You're going to have to beat good teams. But I think these are all teams that when Michigan State's playing well, I would take MSU more times than not to beat every team until they get to that Elite Eight matchup against Auburn. And then you're going to have to beat somebody if you want to win something real. And Michigan State is a somebody too. Nobody's going to be thinking, great, they get to play MSU. I think, we look back to 2019, for example, and there was a similar vibe, right? Duke was in their region. It was Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett. It was this idea of, oh, crap, well, that's waiting. And look how that turned out. That made just getting to a Final Four, which is obviously the word just is kind of unfair there, but getting to a Final Four, incredibly memorable. That win goes down as one of the great. I mean, if you think of wins in the Tom Izzo era, you can't put 5. And I'm talking national championship, other Final Fours, Detroit Final Four. You cannot put 5 games all time ahead of that win over Duke and Zion Williamson and that shot by Kenny Goins with the Cassius Winston team and all that. It creates a great opportunity. And frankly, if you're going to win, and if they beat Auburn, then all of a sudden they're going to go into the Final Four with a load of confidence. I think this is about as well as it could go for Michigan State. It starts in Cleveland, where they are going to have this tremendous home court advantage. And I think one of the things, Michigan State has not had a basketball team or football team in a while that their fan base could really get behind and spend a lot of money on and think, this team's going somewhere, we want to follow it. And there was a while in the mid-2010s where it was expensive to be a Michigan State fan. They were in the Rose Bowl one year. They're in the Final Four, Elite Eight next. It was all over the place.
Yeah, people that take out loans and
it was now. And I'm not saying it's not expensive and it's not a lot for people, but I'm just saying people have been waiting to do this. And Cleveland's certainly easy enough to get to. I mean, it is going to feel like East Lansing.
Have you filled out a bracket yet?
I have not.
Man,
Have you?
Filled out one this morning. Yeah, it was full, just all chalk. I have Michigan State losing to Auburn. I will admit that. I just can't. I can see them getting there, like you just mentioned, but getting past Auburn, I don't know. I'd have to be talked into it as we go on in the next couple of days. Maybe we talk to Harry on Wednesday. You guys can, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'll probably do a bracket, I think, tonight or tomorrow. I just need to go through it and look up some teams there's lots of teams I'm unfamiliar with in this field. And, and I got to be careful I'm not too high on teams like Drake. Like, I love Drake in the Missouri Valley, but sometimes I get a little too, all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I got Drake in the Final Four.
I know, but I sit there and I watch Memphis UAB yesterday. Right. I get sold on Memphis. And then I got someone I respect talking to me about Colorado State and how they're going to beat Memphis. So I'm just like, man, maybe I should just not listen to anything. But
or do 2 brackets.
15, yeah.
Which I think
be a 15 bracket guy. You're always winning.
Yeah. Which I think we're going to do maybe a 2 limit in the Couch in the Rube.
It has to be
challenge.
a 2 limit.
Yeah,
right?
We can't have somebody just
We're going to
flooding.
have David Jackson put in 72 of these things. What do you mean?
David's like, all right. David's ready.
I feel like we've always had a limit, haven't we?
Yeah, we've always
with
had
this
a limit.
thing.
Yeah, we've always had a limit.
By the way, do you think Michigan got screwed whatsoever? I know that the take we've talked about the Big Ten tournament, but come on, Michigan did get screwed in their seeding.
So, I do think if the Big Ten tournament was a day earlier and that Wisconsin win, which is a really quality win, doesn't matter when it is, because what people have to remember is the Big Ten tournament is not something. The tournaments aren't something that are being factored in as tournaments. They're being factored in as games, no different than a game in January or February. But beating Wisconsin on a neutral court is a really good win. It just didn't factor in. And I think if that had factored in, I do think they would have been a 4 seed. But you have to remember, like Michigan did not, we were talking for a long time about how Michigan was winning all these games by 2-3 points, barely. And that stuff really matters in the net. If you look where they are in the net rankings, they're way below a lot of these teams. That stuff matters in terms of how, a lot of that's viewed as luck that you're winning over teams. And so that's the break of it. They don't look at the tournament, wow, look what they're doing. They don't even view the last 10 games anymore as a metric like they used to in the old days. So it's not even how you finish. Otherwise, that would have helped. Michigan State would have had a claim when they won, 8 of 9 down the stretch here, in the way they did. And that if the last 10 was really still a thing. And look, what MSU did and their last down the stretch is more impressive still than what Michigan did. It just is, winning all those road games, including at Michigan.
Oh, sure.
And so
to get that 5 seed to where they were, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't feel sympathy for them, but it's just kind of like, man, that is
the one I would argue.
What are we doing this for then? You have to start talking about it eventually. Like, why is the Big Ten tournament happening then if you're not going to pay attention to it?
Well, there is a point there. I mean, first of all,
the whole thing needs an overhaul, to be honest with you.
There's no need for a Big Ten. There's no need for conference tournaments other than they want money and leagues where you're not like a 1 or 2 bid league and you're not trying to keep it alive for everybody because there really is no need for a Big Ten tournament or an SEC tournament or an ACC tournament. I mean, I understand the tradition of the ACC and Big East in their tournament. If you want to do it, that's fine.
Is it guys like our age that are nostalgic, the Big East, used to mean something back in the day. Are people still just trying to hold on to that kind of thing?
I think there's nothing wrong with tradition in sports. People
Sure,
love it.
no.
Love it.
I understand that, but when it's not there, when the tradition isn't there anymore, and you're trying to just grasp and claw at it to try to get it back, sometimes you just got to let that stuff go.
This is actually was going to be one of my takes here. First of all, the Michigan getting snubbed or being too low, the one for me was Purdue. Purdue got a 3 seed, and Purdue had really sort of fallen down the stretch. Like, I did not think they were playing very well. Like, Purdue to me is not a better basketball team than Michigan right now. And so if that's the case, why isn't Michigan seated higher? And I don't think Purdue's resume is
that's just Matt Painter, veteran guard, Braden Smith.
Well, you do get some NCAA tournament reputation. They do look at the metrics sometimes. But it's all, none of this is perfect. The thing, if you're Michigan, though, is 4 or 5, you're going to be playing a 4 or 5 in the second round. And if you're a 4 or 5, you're going to be playing a 1 in the Sweet 16. Like, unless you thought you should have been up at the 3, which I don't think they probably should have, especially knowing that the Big Ten, like a lot of Michigan fans are just discovering today, and I've realized this on social media, that the Big Ten tournament doesn't matter that much, especially the championship at all. And it's just because they're just, I'm
not talking about Michigan.
A lot of folks are like your buddy Jordan. They kind of come in and out of basketball. Michigan was playing for a Big Ten tournament last week against Maryland at home, and it was like a 1/3 empty building. Like, that's embarrassing.
I mean, in his defense, he does go to games. He does watch,
again,
I believe, every game. I just don't know. As far as diehard, you asked about if he was a diehard or not. I don't know if he's living and dying with every bucket. Obviously, with gambling, yes. But, so.
Yeah. Well, so here's my problem with the Big Ten tournament is the concept of it, right? Okay. So you play everyone in meaningful conference games over 2 months, right? Raucous crowds, high emotions. Every game feels like everything. We break them down the next day here. It's like whoever comes out of all of that, 20 games, that grind, that endurance race is the champion. And I think we all think that's a really hard thing to do, to win that and to be the best, especially with 18 teams now. And then you do this 3-4 day tournament with various motivations, and you can tell it, with all the same damn teams. It's not like the NCAA season champion. And then they did a 6-game, 5-game tournament with the same teams. Everybody would value the regular season championship more, because that's not what we do. It's a whole different group of teams. It's the NCAA tournament, but it's like, to me, it's the same group you just did battle with, and so now you've got to prove yourself all over again. Like, just as you exhale, like, that doesn't make any sense. It's just dumb. Like, winning 7 straight games, 4 on the road. The path MSU did is harder to do than 3 straight games on a neutral court against various motivations and all that stuff. And I know people get upset because some of this is just Michigan fans trolling you. I mean, because Michigan fans are online right now and boasting about the Big Ten tournament title as if it's the title. They're either doing it just to get under your skin, or they're just discovering basketball. Right? I mean, or they're just, because they have and remember, they have a different relationship with the Big Ten tournament than MSU fans did. This goes back to 98. Michigan State finally wins a Big Ten championship. They finally are the best team in the Big Ten, it looks like, or I guess they shared it that year. But they're on the rise. The first Big Ten tournament comes around, they lose right away. Michigan and Robert Traylor and those guys win it, right? You have the year that their plane went off the runway, and they came in wearing practice jerseys for the first game, and were extremely motivated and won what to them was very meaningful. And I think the Big Ten tournament can be meaningful for different people for different reasons. I don't like this Big Ten championship, tournament championship is meaningful to Michigan. There is no question that it actually is meaningful, and it should be. Michigan State has won it in years it's been meaningful for them. There have been lots of years where that can have great meaning for you. It is not as meaningful as the regular season. And one of my favorite things is what the trophies say. One says Big Ten champion, the other says Big Ten tournament champion. And I think it's not a reasonable opinion to think that the Big Ten tournament is more impressive. It's just not.
No,
it's not. And so if don't let that get to you, because it's people trolling you. It's just people getting under your skin. It's rivalry stuff.
But wouldn't you do that to your rival, though?
100%.
If you ended up winning the Big Ten tournament, right?
Well, so I would ask Michigan State fans to think about this. Like, if this was reversed, what would the discourse be?
I don't think a lot of Michigan State fans would, come out and say that it's bigger than the regular season Big Ten championship. I don't think there would be many Michigan State fans doing that. Maybe with a buddy or something like that, just as a joke, right? Because it does make you sound stupid, but I understand doing that if you're trying to get under someone's skin. But if you're talking like real basketball with somebody that you know what I mean? Like, then why would you would never say something like that?
Well, and you could.
But I can understand celebrating it. It was a great stretch of games they played. Why not?
And there are years, absolutely, absolutely, and it is a title. It is something you can hold on to. I mean, I remember Tom Izzo talking about that in 2015 when they didn't win it, when Wisconsin beat them at the end, when they didn't know they were going to go on that Final Four run. He wanted that team to have something they could have for themselves that they always have, and he thought that tournament championship would have been that. The other thing is there are years where you have an injury in the season, or you have something happen where a team that thinks they're the best team doesn't win the regular season, doesn't win the Big Ten championship, and the tournament is a chance to sort of prove, doesn't take away from the team that won it, but hey, we might be that. But Michigan lost twice to the champion this year, including on their home court, a champion that won it by 3 games. And it wasn't like they had some huge rash of injuries or anything. So there's not that, stake to claim either. It's a heck of an accomplishment. They won 3 games in 3 days against good teams. I mean, they beat a Wisconsin team that was worn out, but that's why you play to finish where you do, so you get the double bye, because that 4th game in 4 days is almost always the end of your legs, and it was for Wisconsin. Like the Wisconsin team that beat Michigan State would have beat Michigan the way Michigan played yesterday. There's no question about it. And I think Michigan knows that, but Michigan earned the 4 seed. That's part of, again, why the regular season matters across the board. They earned the double bye, so they weren't playing a 4th game in 4 days, and that's just how it is. I think everybody's looking forward to the other tournament in the brackets, but you just have to understand it is not a reasonable opinion that the Big Ten tournament is as meaningful in terms of proving who's the best team in the league, unless there's if Michigan and Michigan State had shared the title, and then Michigan State had bowed out and Michigan won the Big Ten tournament, they would have some sort of claim would be different. And I think the Big Ten tournament can have those sort of meanings year to year. This year it's not. And just try to, and understand there are lots of like Michigan fan media folks right now are upset about different things. This is not a basketball conscious fan base a lot of the year. And that's okay.
They don't know ball, is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't say they don't know ball, but they don't pay attention the way like Michigan State fans do, because they would know certain things. I'm talking about like understanding that the Big Ten tournament championship has nothing to do with NCAA tournament seeding. They would understand. They would have known that years ago. The NCAA tournament committee has said that publicly years ago. They would have been there on Wednesday night when they played Maryland, for fuck's sake. Sorry for the swearing. But like that's to me like the ultimate. Like they don't really care that much. So don't let it bother you that they're getting under your skin if you're a Michigan State fan. That's what I would say. And that's not everybody. Like we have Jay Riemenschneider on this show is a bigger Michigan basketball fan than he is football. There are exceptions to the rule, but don't let it eat you alive is what I would say. You got any other takes?
I actually do. I didn't know. I will admit I didn't know Bubba Cunningham before yesterday, so I didn't want to overreact. I know he's been on the board for 5 years, but I did have the selection show on the second TV with no sound, and when they did go to a little shot of him, I go, okay, this guy's got to be up to something, right? I didn't know he was from North Carolina. I honestly didn't. I just was like, well, look at this guy. And by the way, people are ruining, I think the flat earth people are ruining the conspiracy theory, because I like that we can't even talk about Bubba Cunningham, who got a $105,000 bonus for North Carolina making the NCAA tournament, right? To get a 1 month pay, by the way. Can you imagine that? $105,000 hitting that bank account? Bubba-ass Cunningham. But we're talking about the fact that I understand that, what were they, 1-11 in quad 1 wins, but they had the toughest schedule, blah, blah, blah. But we can't sit there, and he excused himself. We need to get rid of this whole committee and let the nerds run the show and pick, right? Because there's going to be there's no money trail or anybody, looking sideways or a guy having to step out as they eat. By the way, I don't know why they have to spend all that time together, eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, this committee, because they're going to be around Bubba Cunningham all day, right? So he steps out when they talk about North Carolina, but comes back in, and they're not going to talk about anything a guy that they want. And by the way, Bubba Cunningham, who has to go back to North Carolina if they don't make the NCAA tournament, and people are going to be looking at him and like, Bubba didn't do enough for us, man. He could have got us in the tournament. He didn't do enough for us. So he's going to try to get his team in there, right? There's money, and there's people that he needs to go impress when he goes back to Chapel Hill. So I just don't know why we can't sit there when people talk about conspiracy theories. It's not all just flat Earth and crazy shit like JFK's coming back. It's about guys like this who have a monetary reason to make sure that his university is in the NCAA tournament. It just annoys me seeing these good old boys on TV all the time.
It's bad optics.
Right.
And I would have put what I always hate is there are teams like Boise State that I understand didn't play quite North Carolina's schedule, but just have won a lot more games, are a better team. I would always side with the
what do the numbers say?
Mid-major though? It varies. It varies. And that's the thing. Like North Carolina's not that far down, and like Ken Palm, they're 33. That's not below the bubble. That's above.
But forget what I say. You got guys like Sean Farmer and other guys, Rothstein, that are coming out there and they're making bold-ass statements. So I listen to those guys, and I look at everything involved. Because I looked up Bubba Cunningham, too, and he's well-respected. I see that. But seriously, when you have money involved, things go out the window.
And he's not in the room when they're discussed. I get that,
whatever.
but still.
That doesn't appease me, though. When guys say that, you're going to say that. Why wouldn't you say that? You sit there and go, well, I'll let blah, blah, blah answer this question. Oh, okay. Wow. So you're treating us like we're absolutely stupid. And that's the other thing,
So. No, to me, you'd want a combination of former coach. You want people or coaches and players, people who know basketball, and then you want bracketologists. You could put together.
You can't have a guy that's going to get a $100,000 bonus if your team gets in there.
You shouldn't have athletic directors of teams who are being seated or judged whether they're in or out. They shouldn't be part of this. And I understand they walk out of the room, but they spend a lot of time together. They made and even if it's all above board, even if they took all the names away, because that's really the thing you got to do. You got to look at resumes and try and take brands and names away, which they don't do very well. But even if you were doing that and doing it successfully, the optics are really bad. And you have to know that. And there's just no point. There's no need to have bad optics. There's no need not to have a better system. But
it's been happening for a long time. But
By the way, new sponsor alert.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We are
not a gift card.
We are going to be doing some cool stuff with Xfinity Comcast here, and you know how we feel about Xfinity and cable, and we've said it's the best user experience out there. And if you want to watch, look, I have Xfinity. Probably lots of you do. People have sometimes gripes with their cable companies and other things, but I've tried a lot of stuff as we've gone through this era of cord cutting and other things, and I've come back to Xfinity, and I've found it to be the best in terms of options, and a lot of great places to watch a lot of like these NCAA tournament games that are on ESPN News for the women and True TV for the men and all that sort of stuff, all available with Xfinity and Comcast. We'll do some cool stuff with them starting this Wednesday, and then I think every Monday after that. So wanted to welcome them aboard and appreciate their support of Couch in the Roof, man. So, are we ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Let's do it. Eric Schultz up first. Number one, anything less than the Elite Eight would be a major disappointment. If Auburn somehow loses before then, the expectation is the Final Four. 2, it's pretty safe to say at this point that Aikens likely isn't going to pull a 2015 Trice. Going to be hard to win 4 straight if he has a game like Saturday. And 3, with Zapawa over the last several games, showing why he was at Longwood a year ago, and with Booker being unable to play basketball at a high major level, Kohler has become the most essential player on the team other than Richardson. Can't have stupid fouls like we saw versus Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How many minutes does Book get in the?
I think it shrinks considerably.
I mean, seriously,
he'll play. He'll play in this first game because I think they can afford it, and I think you just
pull a 3. Let's just get it over. Let's take 30 seconds. If you hit the 3, you get to play more. If not,
they've already taken him out of the second halves, right? And they're doing that a little more with Zapala. And I think some of it with Zapala is still a little matchup dependent. And same with Booker to some extent. But you got to have your best guys on the floor the most. You cannot give up possession. One of the issues with the Wisconsin game, and this is as Eric brings up with Kohler, when possessions really matter. And so Izzo can talk about all the little things, but some of that's also his coaching. Like when you're making a decision to have a guy with 3 fouls or 2 fouls out of the game for a lot of possessions, and you lose some of those possessions, or you don't get a rebound, or the tide goes the other way for a little while, those are possessions you do not get back. And I thought, they really – and I understand when you have Cooper out there, you can live a little while without Kohler. But then when Cooper was out there for a long while and they had to take him out for a rest, then that's where I chance it with Kohler. That's where I would. And look, they wound up losing the game anyway. And Kohler, I think, only had like 1 more foul. Those are things you have to think about. And with the rotation, it's going to get shorter. And I have no doubt the staff will, in the NCAA tournament, they've always been like this. They will play the guys they think can win. They can win with. And they do that throughout the season, but it gets even more shrewd. But I do think in the first, I think you'll see Xavier Booker have a stint in the first half of the first game, and obviously if they get up big, that'll continue. They'd like to keep him engaged. They'd like to keep everybody engaged, and if they think they're bringing value, that's the thing, though. Is he bringing value? And we've seen Booker bring value before, and we've seen times where he hasn't. But we've seen him in big games. He hit a 3 at Maryland.
Could you remind me when Booker brought value?
Sure.
So I can remember what it was like.
At Michigan, hit an enormous 3 in the first half.
Yes,
at Maryland,
I remember that.
At Maryland, enormous 3. At Illinois, enormous 3. So during that huge run,
was there any more? Was there just 1 3 per game?
Correct, but he was only shooting like 1 or 2.
Oh,
so what I'm saying is, in big moments on the road down that stretch, he hit important shots. If he can be that guy, they can play him in those first halves. And the thing with Booker is he's one of those guys. He's an if it goes well guy. So you play him a stint in the first half, and maybe that stint gets shorter and shorter. Who knows? You play him that stint, and if it goes well, then you play him a little longer, or he gets a second stint. But it's all about how it looks.
This is
game.
win or go home. I don't think
100%.
we have time to. I get what you're saying against Bryant, but after that, what else can you do?
You play your best guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dominic next. Number 1, Graham's take that plus minus isn't a real stat line was a reasonable one until Xavier Booker arrived on campus. Motherfucker, you need to retire this one immediately into the oatmeal casket. Lead is shaved by 6 points just by him making eye contact with the scorekeeper table. 2, insightful interview with Ant Wright last week, Couch. Hey, maybe next time you can just put an open microphone in a preschool lunchroom. Jesus, man. 3, hey, Couch, Wisconsin did nothing but piss me off ever since you had pod sex with Greg Gard. Keep it in your pants or you'll find me at the top of a staircase, you dig?
So we've actually considered that open microphone in a preschool lunchroom. We just couldn't find a sponsor for it. So that's we
Take it easy, Couch. You're not allowed in your preschools. Ever since your little incident with the coach and the soccer kids. That weren't yours.
That's not an
you
incident.
Just walked into a random soccer game. You're like, can I coach these kids? Or
so there are lots of people I watch soccer who have picked up this podcast since that happened. I need to explain what that was.
Oh,
because they're just going to think
the staircase thing or the soccer thing.
The soccer thing.
Oh, all right.
I coached a 6 and under youth soccer team.
But Couch does not have a child.
I did not have a kid on the team when I was 40, like 41 when I did it. But
it wasn't his sister's child either.
But what it was one of my closest friends' daughters was on the team. They didn't have anybody to coach them. He was asked to coach them. He knows nothing about soccer. He did all the administrative stuff. He just asked me, will you come and help with the soccer portion of it, as you would do if you had to coach a soccer team, right? You'd call me.
Not 6-year-olds. Dude, I know. I get the gist.
So it was
stay in that square, kick it towards the goal.
No, we did
We have Capri Suns after.
I'm telling you.
What else do you need? What coaching?
There was a little girl named Eliza. She was incredible. When she's in Grand Ledge schools. When she gets to high school.
Oh God! Don't
put your money on Grand Ledge.
Don't. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
No, jeez.
Well, I didn't know with you sometimes.
You're here all.
Mr. Benjen. Number 1, if I said MSU's over-under win total in the NCAA is at 3, I'm taking the push. 2, for MSU to win this thing, Jaden Akins needs to shoot fewer than 4 3-pointers a game. More than that means they're losing. And 3, Kohler will average a double-double in the tourney. I hope so, because Jeff Kohler's Twitter will be on fire.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
It's staying out of foul trouble for him is important. And again, they're going to have to play him through it because he had 4 rebounds in like the first 6 minutes he was on the floor. He was on, and he had 16 last time against Wisconsin. He was on pace for a really huge day.
How many fouls did he end up with?
Like 3, I think.
Right. Okay. So he had 2 early. Okay.
Well, the problem, and I do understand trying to survive a little. Like if a guy picks up a second foul, I do want to sit him down. I don't want him picking up a third right away.
Right.
I want him to sit for 3-4 minutes. But I don't. And again, depending on the game state, there are times where you're doing just as well. There was a game where I think they did it really well, where Jace Richardson picked up 2 quick fouls, and they sat him the whole rest of the half. But you remember they were down like 13-4 when Richardson picked up his second. They went on a run without him, and they played even then the rest of the half, and that made sense. There are times where it makes sense. But late in that half against Wisconsin and Indianapolis, Wisconsin went on a 9-1 run without Cooper or Kohler on the floor. And that's what you have to avoid. If you have to understand that you need, and again, you are chancing it. There is risk. But if both of them get in foul trouble, that's, then you got to, I would, Kohler's becoming increasingly, there is a presence to the way he rebounds, and it matters in these games.
Spartan 18770, it's usually a cliche to say that a loss is good for a team, but MSU losing Saturday, what was needed for this team was to get refocused and for a chance to kick Michigan's ass again. And from G. Kwang, the Big Ten loss was the best thing for MSU. It will act like a reset for Trey and Jeremy. Both are chippy, but we knew in this area of college basketball, eventually someone would be teed up and it would cost MSU a game. More so, it exposed Wisconsin and Michigan. Both teams are good, but extremely one-dimensional.
Yeah, I do think if you're playing that Thursday game in the NCAA tournament, especially early or you got a long travel, that not playing Sunday in the Big Ten tournament is important. Like it'll be a challenge for Michigan to go out to Denver. Now it's a late game. Wait, they play Friday too, don't they? They're not Thursday.
Yeah.
They're Friday.
Friday.
So, never mind.
Right?
Is it? Hold on, we should look that up. Give me some Hoff. Now I'm confused. Now I've talked myself into
Ah, man.
I am the passenger.
Come on.
And I ride.
It's Thursday, so you're going to be able to see it. That's why Jordan doesn't care about you guys missing the because his game is it. I apologize. People are probably throwing their phones at when we said that before. The Michigan game's Thursday at 10. I don't know why Friday was in my head when the show started. I knew it was Thursday yesterday. Anyway,
I believed you.
Yeah, so that's at least a late game, but that's a tough deal to play 3, to play the energy they had and to do what they did, and then go across. So I would I don't think it hurts MSU that they lost, and I do think sometimes there are lessons that are best learned through defeat, through not getting away with things. And there was only one more game to lose that wasn't going to end your season, and it was somewhere at the Big Ten tournament, right? And they were so good late in the year. That said, that also can be a cop-out. They wanted to win that game. If they had beaten Wisconsin and gotten to play Michigan, they would have gone all out. In 2019, they tried to lose to Ohio State, or Cassius Winston did. I still insist on that in the first round. They wound up winning because Foster Loyer hit 4 threes. Then they beat Wisconsin. And then you're playing Michigan, which was a good matchup for them that year. And it's also your rival. So you're going to try and win it. And they did. But so I think you can look at this a lot of different ways. It certainly does not hurt Michigan State, though, to have one less game on their legs. And in a year that they've already proven that they're the best team in the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten title. They won it by 3 games. They won 17 games in the regular season.
Captain Sparty next. Where does Bryant rank in teams MSU played this season? Last? How about Marquette in regard to Big Ten teams?
So they're if you look at like their Ken Palm rating, they're ahead of Oakland, for example. They're ahead of Bowling Green. Who gave them the fits? They're behind Samford and Samford and Florida Atlantic. So they played lesser teams than this, just in terms of you just using like Ken Palm, right? Which is one tool to sort of get an idea of where a team is. So they will have played worse teams than this. They played a lot of better teams than this. The big thing that'll be interesting is that Bryant has not played anybody like Michigan State since St. John's a long time ago in terms of that caliber. And Marquette, I've watched Marquette only like once this year, to be honest. It was not a game they played all that great. They're like, low 20s, Ken Palm. Good team, right? That's similar to where Michigan is, for example, Ken Palm. But I do like the matchup. We saw it in the NCAA tournament recently, the style matchup. I think it's not a bad second-round opponent. There could have been worse 7 seeds for Michigan State to play. And, in fact, I don't even know if Marquette will win their first-round matchup.
Kurt Wisniewski next. Not sorry about a Michigan 5 seed. I love seeing the news media blue wall complaining about their seeding. It proves the Big Ten tournament is not equal to the regular season. The committee got it right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Michigan got totally hosed. I mean, Michigan State one year was a 4 seed and, might have been the most talented team in the country, and that was the year that they had Appling and Payne and Gary Harris and all those guys, and went through some struggles in the middle of the year. And Michigan went through a slide late in the year, and then was really good over a weekend that, again, they have told people year after year this tournament is not going to be viewed as like an end-all, be-all. It's not going to boost your seed that much. The Big Ten chooses to have that time slot and that deal with CBS. It chooses to play the tournament, and when you do that, your tournament does not get taken as seriously as it would otherwise. If you wanted this tournament to be something that teams that won it could marinate in, that the committee could look at and go, wow, that was a great finish, to showcase some of the best basketball you had, you would do it differently. You would end it differently. You would end it earlier. And they've chosen not to do that, so they can't complain about people saying, like, one of the things that's tough too is, they want the lead in on TV before the brackets. And maybe there's a lot of money involved. Maybe that's what CBS wants. But you know what? A lot of people that don't watch college basketball all that much all year, they saw that Wisconsin game and that Wisconsin team and that Michigan team, which were not their best yesterday. That was what they think Big Ten basketball is right now going into the tournament. Because you put it on right before the brackets on a team that's played 4 games in 4 days and others that's played 3 games in 3 days. They're never going to be representative of their best self, rarely in that setting. And you choose to do that as a Big Ten. So don't come at anybody when they poo-poo your tournament.
Gorjo next. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment watching Michigan celebrate their Big Ten championship and then expressing shock at getting a 5 seed. Oh, well, that banner will fit right in with the others with the big old asterisk on it. 2025 Big Ten champs, tournament champions.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I mean, winning a Big Ten tournament is good. It's the second best thing you can do in the Big Ten. It's still really good.
Why play it if you can't celebrate it, I guess? Right? I think people are just more angry that the fact that Michigan fans are trying to claim it's more important.
Correct. That's what's pissing people off.
Yeah.
And they're either doing it to troll it or they're not really reasonable, well-thinking people. But we live in an unreasonable country with lots of unreasonable thoughts. So people are going to be hard to reason with. That's just what it is.
Oh, man. Ken Chu, this MSU basketball team will be like Muhammad Ali, just letting opponents punch themselves out and then crushing their dreams. Hell yeah, Ken. I hope so.
Yeah, they do wear teams. I mean, they need to get back. They need to make sure that that's who they are, though. And a couple of these games lately, they've started off better and not been as great late. Like Michigan State is at its best when it's a team that in the second half, wears you down but grabs a lead and then holds it. And takes the life out of your best player. And they did that a lot down the stretch. We'll see if they can do that in this tournament.
Travis Maynard next. What's depth worth if we can't roll the dice on Jackson Kohler with 2 fouls? He ended with 3 for the game. In a one-and-done scenario, it's a risk worth taking, but also refs are ass. Legend has it. John Tanji is still at the free throw line. And baked. Timeouts can be used to stop the game to swap out players. Crazy, I know. But you don't have to let a poor lineup give away a lead while players sit at the scorer's table waiting for a stoppage.
This is my biggest gripe in the second half, other than with the not chanting it with Kohler or when he had 2 and 3 fouls, because the same thing happened in the second half after he picked up a third. You have Kohler and Jaden Akins sitting there waiting to come back in for well over 2 minutes, and the ball just didn't stop. And so the game kept going. If you want them in the game, so you sent them to the scores table, I understand the clock's not going to stop immediately. But if you get over a minute into that, and, Jaden Akins is going to be one of the guys guarding John Tanji or Blackwell, John Blackwell from Wisconsin, each of whom hit a 3 during that span where they were just sitting at the scores table. And you have somebody who helps set the tone and clean up the glass for you as well as Jackson Kohler does, and he had also hit a good fadeaway shot out of the post. He hit a 3. He was shooting the ball pretty well in the game too. If you want them in the game, get them in the game, and that is another lesson that you in a one and done time You talk about possessions. A game they lost by 3, they gave up 2 threes. And I'm not saying that Blackwell and Tanjay wouldn't have hit those shots. They very well might have. But certainly we've seen Jaden Akins be a factor defensively for those guys in the game. And we've seen the factor that certainly that Jackson Kohler, sorry.
Cockburn.
Yeah. Apologize, Jackson. I was thinking about 2 different things there, trying to make a point, which is usually why I suck at telling stories.
Professor, Frankie Fiddler is going to win MSU a tourney game. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure when, but I can feel it's coming. So that's a bake take then.
Well, no, he does have that,
No, I'm just saying that's what usually when I'm smoking a joint or something from Pure Options, I like, you know what, Frankie Fiddler's going to win a tournament game.
He does have that feel to it.
It's coming.
To a guy who could,
That's all I'm saying.
have the Frankie Fiddler game. People remember against Iowa State or whatever, that sort of thing. Yeah,
Matt McQuaid game, let's go. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, and next, this is the first year I'm actually questioning whether ratings played a role in the bracket. Some very questionable matchups, and the SEC doesn't deserve 14 teams.
Well, if ratings mattered, Indiana would be in. I mean, I know North Carolina got in, but Indiana's still a draw, right, with a huge fan base that cares about that. So I don't. The SEC,
but they're firing their coach.
Well, that's true,
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Does Mike Woodson want to retire? Is Indiana regretting this Woodson thing?
No.
Okay,
they're regretting hiring him, but not hiring.
Gotcha.
The SEC is going to have to prove itself a little here because they went deep getting in there. 14 is a lot, right? And to me, even if you're in the best league in the world, is that what it is? 14? Is it after 14? Even in the
Can't believe anything. You told me Michigan was playing Friday.
I don't know anything.
That Jordan and I were going to be in the Sphere together watching Michigan and Michigan State play. Now it's all lies. So.
Yeah. But to me, even if you're in the best league in the world, there should be some level of, hey, you're not 500 in this league. You're not, you had your chance, right? You're not going to win the tournament. You should have to do it to a certain degree. But the SEC got its flowers all year, and now we'll see it in the NCAA tournament. And maybe they'll be as good as everybody said. I would just caution that the Big Ten had a year like this a few years ago, and we've talked about this with Luka Garza and Kofi.
Cockburn.
Thank you. And they all flamed out. So it's not always. Sometimes the metrics, because of the way the early season determines so much, and then you play each other, the metrics get it wrong.
Oh, by the way, did you mention Zion Williamson earlier?
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair. I also told – I'm off my game. I also told a great story about coaching 6-year-olds without saying it was a story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company, which, by the way, if you're at work downtown in Lansing or anywhere and you want to watch NCAA tournament basketball, underrated place to watch it, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, right on 402 South Washington Avenue. I mean, they've got a big screen. They've got TVs over the bar. It's not a sports bar because they do too much else really, really well. And it's a great date place, great vibes, great trivia nights on Tuesday. But it is a great place to watch games as well at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
Bibby next. Dusty May's first year in the Big Ten is more impressive than Izzo's Big Ten championship, turning around a roster in short notice with minimal NIL support. Now he gets NIL support and recruits. Michigan basketball is in great hands.
I do think Michigan basketball is in great hands as long as Dusty May stays, and there's no evidence that he's not. Obviously, he signed the deal, and so that's sort of you're saying your intention is to stay. I don't know why one has to be more than the other because there was real doubt. Like I think with Dusty May, they're sort of different exercises, and sometimes being able to start over and start fresh is helpful. I remember when Penn State hockey won big, like really early on, and it was like. They didn't have any recruits to deal with. They didn't have any, holdover crappy players or anything like that. There was some real value in starting fresh. If you do it right, there's a lot of work that goes into that. What Dusty May did is incredibly impressive. But Izzo sort of getting this group to be what they became and doing it his way and staying the course. And I don't think one's more impressive than the other. They were both impressive years. But I do think Michigan's in great hands. And frankly, the way Dusty May handled the Shovegate situation at the end with Trey Holloman going on everybody's podcast after that, doing the circuit and everything he said. He has helped light the flame to the rivalry, which is, can be good. It can be, it's a rivalry that can get toxic, but I think in basketball there are limitations to that because both teams are good. Both programs have been more often than not good. So what's the real trash you're going to talk? Because as I've always said with the basketball rivalry, you can be better than a team in this moment. And Michigan State is the better team in this moment. That gets you nothing next year. There's nothing definitive about who you are as a program relative to somebody else. Now, if you're a Michigan State fan, you can say that Michigan fans don't care. It's not really a basketball school, and there's a real argument to that. But overall, in terms of quality, what you did this year doesn't prove anything the next. Just doesn't carry over.
Big John Hogg next. Number 1, Michigan won't lose to San Diego. Their fans continue to show their ass with their Big Ten tournament title is greater than a conference championship take. 2, the Cincinnati Bengals will somehow finish with the 33rd best defense next year. Chase Higgins contracts. My goodness. 3, I'm scared of Bryant. PTSD or real fears? And soccer, Spurs have to get rid of Paste Koglu.
Pretty good. Pretty close, yeah.
Good luck, Rube. ASAP.
We could break that down for 5 minutes. I think
Postecoglou.
Yeah. You could be
How
doing.
Do you say it?
Yeah, that's it, pretty much.
Oh,
I think the worst thing that happened to Bryant is Middle Tennessee State, because I think Izzo and his staff will tell that story and tell the year that was ruined and the season that could have been, and I think fans will be into it and not taking a damn thing for granted, and. Because I think that's just one of those things that stays with you. Like you think Virginia, the first team to lose to a 16, you think those guys, if they're ever back in that spot, will ever again. And the next year they won a national title. Purdue, yeah. Like those things stay with you. Those are painful, painful memories.
I really thought that was never going to happen. I never thought a 16 would beat a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Right? And then, man, that's crazy. Spartan Johnny, ESPN bracket show referred to Michigan as Big Ten champions, and I took that personally. When they flashed MSU, they said 14 quad 1 wins, but left 3-month ass kicking and respective actual championship they laid on the Big Ten. Welcome to the blue wall. And from Andy Schofield, it's been annoying as hell reading everywhere that Michigan is the Big Ten champs. Why doesn't anyone know the difference?
So part of the problem at a national scale is that some places do it differently. The ACC does it differently. Their champion is the tournament champion, and they maybe do it out west differently. Like I know Lindsey Schnell from The Athletic got that, had said, well, what was more important is getting the double bye in the conference tournament than winning a late game regular season game for Michigan, and she got kind of chastised for it because I don't think she knew. I think that part of the problem is there's no uniformity to it. In some places it is, which is dumb, by the way. It is really dumb. Like if the ACC tournament is the tournament to decide the conference champion, then you waste 2 months of everybody's life. Like I have said this before, I can't even imagine doing the quick takes after each of those games. The last one would be, and again, we're just wasting our freaking time because this doesn't really matter. Like, if you're just playing for seeding in a conference, and I understand that you're playing for NCAA tournament seeding and everything, but there is something magical, something awesome about the way the Big Ten does it in terms of recognizing the team that wins the grind, because the grind is really where it's at.
Andy Schofield, you nerds always say how if MSU is going to make a run, Akins has to hit that clutch 3 when it matters. And with a little over a minute left, you saw him miss the potential tying 3. And bonus, how old was Jason when he lost his virginity, and what was his name? Woof. Boy, wow, you're like Couch. You don't like gay people either, Schofield? You can push me down a flight of stairs, too?
I didn't do that.
Because I'm gay?
For the record.
Because I lost my virginity to a guy?
For the record, that never.
Oh, my God. Schofield, here you go.
Never happened.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's going to be a yucks this Saturday, Andy Schofield.
I do feel there is a better than 50-50 chance that Jaden Akins misses a really key shot in a game they lose in this tournament. And I know
Why are
it's.
you saying that? I mean,
I'm
what?
sorry. I've enjoyed covering Jaden Akins tremendously, and I think he is a really good college basketball player. But we saw it against Wisconsin again. Like, they need him to hit the key shots at key moments. They don't need him to go. They don't even hit 5 threes. They need him to hit 2 threes in key stretches when they're open, right? And that is really important and valuable, and he's missed a lot of those all year, and he knows it. I mean, he would tell you that. He understands it. He wants to hit that shot, and if he does, he'll be a hero, and he'll be remembered for hitting those shots. But I think a lot of people are worried about that.
Voice of Gorham softball. It's wild to see how many Spartan fans are hurt by Michigan winning the conference tournament. They got 2 fewer days rest and have to travel farther than the 12 seed that they're playing. Feels like I don't know what this word, Pyrrhic? There's 2 R's in that. Pyrrhic victory to me. It's also wild to see that Michigan fans and the responses on Twitter. Real little bro behavior.
I mean, just in terms of the NCAA tournament, there are advantages MSU has in terms of rest and resetting. But I also think for this Michigan team, given the way they were playing, like Michigan and Michigan State were playing differently at the end of the season. Michigan State was playing incredible basketball, an incredible tear. Michigan was really on a slide. It was important, I think, for them to have success in the Big Ten tournament, not because they were advancing in the tournament, just to get their mojo back a little bit. And whether they won, if they could have done that without having to play one less game, I mean, they'd rather have the Big Ten tournament title because, again, it's the second most meaningful thing you can have in a Big Ten season. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just people want them to recognize that they see what is obvious and what is true. And I think that's been the tricky part. And, look, that's a rivalry that both sides are really good at just
But if, as a fan base, how are you supposed to respond by winning the Big Ten tournament? Just like, yeah, all right, we won. I mean,
yeah, that's it. People
I'm
got
going to look at my rival and be like, this thing's more important than your guys' bullshit. I mean, but it's just how you react to it. I'd just be like, okay, they're just trying to troll. I would hope. Yeah. But I don't know. People take it serious. Thomas, if MSU makes it out of their region, they should absolutely be the favorite to win it all. Bonus, the college football playoff could take some notes from the bracket reveal show. Extremely straightforward and doesn't waste time on analysis until we know the whole field.
Well, it took them a while to get here. Was it like 2 years ago they had that 2-hour – it's been a few years now, but they had one of these where they really screwed it up, where they tried to expand it, and it was awful.
Really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
It's within the last 3-4 years.
With Gumble?
Yeah.
Really?
Really awful. So they tried to get away from it, and they're back to it, and they understand that's what people –
Did they just do one region and break it down and then go to another one or something?
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was because I was covering it that night, and as soon as MSU's came up, I started working on stuff with that. But I just remember it was a 2-hour show, and it was really bad, and people were very unhappy because people are waiting to learn their fate and where they're going to go. They don't want not for the sake of you.
Oh, I think I remember there was like a preamble, there was 30 minutes of just BS filler at 30. Everybody's sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
I think I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, it's very much a Stringer Bell. Just get on with it, man. Yeah.
A great podcast. 2 old guys with no memory. They have no idea. Anyway, DMB, number 1, whatever monster took Xavier Booker's powers, give them back. I feel bad for him, but not sure you can play him at all going forward. 2, a tale as old as time. MSU beat writers complaining about the game time while living lavishly on company dime. I have to call in each year and negotiate with some Indian guy to avoid paying $50 a month for your 3 quick takes. It's time to earn your worth, Couch. Enough. Now, wait a minute. I thought you were the voice that they heard when they were calling the hotline there, not some Indian guy.
I can handle a lot of this, and every once in a while I miss one. I think I got to go back and find because I think somebody reached out to me recently, and I didn't get back to them. I'm a little nervous about this.
Oh, great! They're paying $95.
Yeah, it's just been sitting. I got to go back through some emails and see how they got a hold of me because it's just been eating at me. I got to see where that.
It just said help in the headline. You ignored it,
and I ignored it. No, this is
about that.
This is very much a Muskox quality hot take of the day here, and a reminder: if you want to look your best, feel your best, and or have a gift to give somebody. If you want somebody who you don't know if they like you and your family, like father-in-law, as Jason always brings up, I'm telling you, Muskox flannel, the way to go. If you just want to look your best this spring, as we start thinking about outdoor patio, sitting around a fire, hanging out, just having a few brews, having some pure options. Muskox flannel, it's the best way to show up at any event. Go muskox.com. Fix it in post for $15 off your flannel purchase. You'll be happy you did. Jeff Kohler is a convert. He is all in on Muskox, and you will be too as soon as you have one wrapped around your torso.
Matt C. next. Outside of Auburn, this is a real favorable draw for MSU. I'd still never understand how Houston got the 1 seed in the Midwest playing in the Big 12, which is basically a group of 5 conferences these days. Jesus. Baked. Everyone associated with the University of Michigan is a loser.
So
not talking about Michigan.
This is where Matt C goes off the off the deep end, which is obviously not true. We know lots of people who are not. You're going to Vegas with a guy who's a good friend of yours.
Absolutely not a loser. Yeah,
I have lots of friends who are University of Michigan graduates or fans, and yeah. So they're not all But I understand the frustration in the moment, and Matt C, you're willing to lash out there. Yeah, but I do agree with the favorable draw thing. Like it is, and that's what I got into earlier. I just think it's, you can be wrong because I have not seen a ton of Marquette this year, and you can, all of a sudden I haven't seen any in New Mexico, and so when I say that, I'm going on numbers. I went through some Ken Palm stuff and Torvik stuff, and tried to look at what I thought could be an issue for them. And these are good teams. Michigan State's going to have to play well to keep winning, but what you're really looking for is the team where you go, uh-oh, when two teams play near their best, that team's probably better than Michigan State. And the first team that might be that is Auburn, right? And that's a ways down the road, and you'll take that.
Mr. Minsley next. 2 observations from yesterday's championship game. Number 1, checking out the crowd. Lots of Big Ten fans were representing. Who wasn't there? Rutgers, Maryland, USC, UCLA, Oregon. Not one jersey, T-shirt to be seen. They do not belong in the Big Ten. There were also, number 2, there were also 2 types of fans at yesterday's game. Maize and Blue were cheering for Michigan. Literally everyone else was rooting for the Badgers. It was a loud crowd for Bucky, and thousands of fans from various schools recognize that they truly are scum. It brought a smile to my face.
The day before when they were playing, who'd Michigan beaten Maryland? There were, as you brought up, there were not Maryland fans there, which was interesting. It was very much a pro-Michigan crowd. And for a school, and I understand it's a long way to travel, but this has been a good team. And that's supposed to be a basketball school. Maryland is a fan base. And when Michigan State played there this year, it was an unbelievably good crowd. Maybe the best. I mean, there might have been some others, but maybe the best crowd of the season they faced. And it was a respectful crowd, and it was just unbelievable atmosphere in a big game. And to not see any of their fans really, or not many of them in Indy was interesting, because this is a good team. It's the team you'd think they'd want to follow.
And what do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Is it because of the NIL era, probably, right? You just can't.
I think there are 2 things going at play here. One is I think Maryland's an overrated basketball school generally. I do. I mean, because they're not a football school, so you got to be a basketball school. But I've been to that place too often when it's not a great crowd, and then maybe they're going to travel for the NCAA tournament, and so maybe because they're not, and they were hoping to win the Big Ten regular season title, and because they're not historically Big Ten fans, they're from the ACC, they don't care as much, maybe. I'm just throwing that out there. But I do think you have a lot of new players. Are they losing the connection? I don't know. The fan base when I was there was incredible. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I do wonder, do some people not feel as connected? I don't know. I was a little surprised by the lack of Maryland support.
I mean, I still have a little bit of that in me when I see some of these guys. Like, I'm like, oh, shit, wasn't he on Baylor? Like, it's just, there is that still in me, and I know as seasons go on, it'll fade, but there is some of that where it's like, these aren't my guys. These guys that you've known and been around, it's just interchangeable parts now, and so a lot of these people are like, well, I don't want to sit there and commit all this money to these guys.
Well, it's part of the reason I think Michigan State fans are so into this team, right? They've been waiting for this, but it's also a group that is largely homegrown, and the people that aren't, the players that aren't, are sort of supplemental pieces, right? And it's a team people like and they connect with. I think people like the Maryland team, but I was just a little surprised that more didn't make that journey to Indianapolis. For them, they were at the 4 seed, so the idea that you're going to get, maybe make a run. You got 3 days, a weekend in Indy. I was surprised.
Jeffrey Mulder next. Take. Great draw for MSU. Depth gets us to the Elite 8. Bigs will be the key to get us past Auburn. The Cooper-Kohler combo needs the majority of the minutes in that one. And Baked. Indy needs to be the permanent host for the Big Ten tournament. Walkable. Embraces the event. Great arena.
I'm mostly on this. I think it needs to be minimum every other year. I don't mind rotating here. Like the Minneapolis one was pretty good. The one in D.C., not so great. New York would have worked well, would have worked better if it wasn't a week earlier. Although you can argue that gave people, that Michigan won that title, right? And that gave them time to actually marinate in the tournament championship. I can't even remember. I think Michigan won that one. Anyway, Indy's the best place for it. And I understand the idea of moving it around a little bit, but it's the most central, and I understand it gives Indiana and Purdue a little bit of a leg up, but it is a great event town. It wants it to be there. Even when it's in Chicago, Chicago doesn't know it's there. Like, hotel prices don't go up in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament. They go up when there's like a convention of the Ear, Nose, and Throat Association or something. Like, Chicago is too big. It does not factor into Chicago at all, which is actually helpful in getting a hotel. But you can't walk around the same way. Like, Indy is just built.
I just can't believe that would stop a hotel if you know that's in town. You still want to gouge. But.
Well, they'd gouge you 6 months out, but when you get like 3 days before, it's like the price is like $175 because they haven't sold any of the rooms.
G.E. Miller, decent path, but the last game on Friday is not great. Could be tired for Sunday and at a disadvantage the following week. Well, then fucking forget it then, I guess, Why show up?
Yeah, I mean
we
10 p.m. is
all these variables.
And I will say this, I didn't see anybody complaining on any writers complaining about the 10 p.m. Maybe they did. Maybe Solari did. I don't know.
I think everybody's just used to it, so they're like waiting for it.
I don't hate, like, to me, the game, anytime a team, like, it's the reason I like night games in football is I get to watch football all day, right? If it's a noon game, I miss everything. And so I like night games for that. There's a downside of it. You work all night. And the only downside of this from a coverage standpoint is I don't think we were going to be able to get to Raleigh for the women's game on Saturday at 4:30. Or that I was going to be able to get there and get back, and whether it made sense to do that, and or whatnot. But certainly, you have no chance when you got a game that ends at midnight and you're going to be working till 6 a.m. and you got to sleep at some point. You know what I mean? Like that was my only down to when I saw that. I was like, oh, it's impossible to because if they had played at noon on Friday, I might have gotten on a flight Friday night down there or something like that, and it would have given us more of an opportunity. That was my only. It wasn't about my own whatever. I'm used to the night games, and it's just a couple hours later than usual.
Jebediah next, a first-round matchup against a name that starts with a B or an R. Potential second-round matchup with Richard Pitino. Will face the seemingly unstoppable number 1 overall seed if we get to the Elite 8 with a 3 seed with Texas Tech on the bottom of the bracket. Destiny awaits in San Antonio.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. It does feel like a tournament that they got a real shot to get to the Elite 8. I just think, there will be a game, I can almost promise you, there will be a game before that, however, where things feel dicey at a certain point. And this Michigan State team has been good enough to get through that. But it's not a team that's, from start to finish overwhelmed a lot of teams this year. They've been in a lot of close games. They've been down in games that they won by double digits and all that stuff. So there will be moments before the Elite 8, if they get to the Elite 8, that are dicey, and that's okay. I think that's the hardest thing in single elimination basketball when the stakes are that high is to not, panic when a team goes down 4 in the first half for a minute and just to let the game unfold a little bit, and that's going to be the challenge.
Jarrett next. Hot upsets for the tourney. McNeese State and Drake to the Elite 8 and Lipscomb to the Sweet 16. I'm going to need some data on that, Jared.
Yeah.
Jarrett.
Drake, I love Drake.
Really?
I got all my
to the
stock
Elite 8?
on Drake. I have to look at the bracket. I have not filled one out yet. I have not really gone through it. McNeese State, that's the Will Wade school, right? So, Will Wade will pay like.
I'm about to say I'm on board with Will Wade.
Yeah,
that dude knows how to get it done in this era.
I mean, half of Indiana's roster is probably going to play for Will Wade and McNeese State in this game once they've left the transfer portal.
Chris Eastlick next. Number 1, there was not a single team left out of the tournament that makes me say we should 100% expand the tournament. Bonus, no auto bid school should be in the first 4, even if they're 16 seeds. They earned their right for Thursday and Friday.
I totally agree with this. Like, to me, if you get in, if you win your conference, however your conference wants to determine its champion to get in for its auto bid, like, you should have to go to Dayton and then, you should get to be part of this, part of the experience. That's what makes it great. I totally agree. I think all the first 4 teams, if we're going to keep doing that, and I don't even think we need them, but should be like 11 seeds that are, bubble at large teams. That should be the play-in games right there.
Howard Bailey, Division I should have a relegation system like soccer. Boise State had a hell of a run in college football and college basketball and got snubbed in the big dance twice, while less deserving teams got in. We need to start rewarding excellence of mid-majors instead of excusing the mediocrity of Power 4 schools.
It's the reason the 5-12 has been such an upset over time, and this is not to say Michigan's going to lose at a 5-12, but I do believe that if you look at the greatest upset, it's the 5-12 over the history of the NCAA tournament. And this used to be pretty standard that like half the 12s would beat half the 5s. And this goes back to 5 seeds would be overseeded teams that were okay high majors, that had good seasons but weren't great, were flawed. And the 12 seeds were usually like the best of now you get more mid majors getting higher or better seeds, but it used to be a really good mid major that's won a lot of games that knew how to win. And it was just that's where you saw the inability to judge what's what right there. And I do believe that a lot of these teams, especially now in the portal era, a lot of these mid major teams no longer have year to year the same caliber of guy they used to, because those guys move up. High majors are full of guys that were mid-major stars, and those guys are no longer at that level, so maybe that'll change over years. But, yeah, I mean, how many opportunities do you need I don't know. The relegation thing's not really going to work in the college. I mean, it would be fun to have. I think the Big Ten has the closest thing you're going to ever see to it in basketball, which I like, which is like the bottom 3 teams don't even get in the Big Ten tournament, because what you're looking to do also is create interest at the bottom, and that's what you do when there's the bottom 3 teams aren't getting in.
Karen, next, have you all inquired as to why our official MSU accounts aren't here on Blue Sky yet? Thanks.
I have not. I mean, I can ask at some point if they're planning to. The LSJ I don't think is yet, but I don't know if we will or not. I don't know to what degree. MSU probably should be. Blue Sky does not drive traffic yet, but that shouldn't be the only reason we're there. I think we should also be there to inform, and I think news accounts should be there.
Eric Larson next. Randomly having this coming Friday off was the best birthday present I could get. And best hot take, should get 1 month free LSJ subscription. Come on, Graham. That's only $1 prize. You guys can afford that.
We have a heck of a deal going on right now, I believe. I'll double-check it and tweet it out because I do want people to jump in and enjoy our coverage this month. Because you think about it, if you jump on and get an LSJ subscription right now for a month even, it takes you through this whole run, men, women, and hockey, through potentially the Frozen Four. It's a good time to have a month of an LSJ subscription. I can't do that. I can't give it away free like that's. We weren't even allowed to do it on Spartan Speak, I think, once, or as part of my beat the couch bracket one. We weren't. I mean, I don't know. There are all sorts of
Yeah, but if you give it away, you can't tie them into the $79 a month after the 4 months.
That's true.
That's the whole bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of charging someone a nominal fee a month, you go, hey, how about you dangle a fucking $1? And then you go, oh, I would like that, and then you forget about it. And then you get pissed off in 4 months.
79. That's a deal. You're talking about $479 a month after the first.
It's such a weird way to get people to here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna lure you in, and then we're just gonna keep. All right.
Not to speak out of turn.
I wanted to support it, but just, charge me a fee a month.
You know how I sometimes say apply for every job, even if you're not qualified, because we'll see people in major roles, be it athletic administration, politics, whatever it might be, who just aren't that good, aren't that bright, make dumb decisions. It's one of the reasons I know I could be very good in customer service, because it is just not the way I would do things. I could make things a lot better for our company, but I have not been asked.
Corey Ostrom next. MSU has a tough draw from the get-go, and because those tough games, they will advance to the Final Four with a real shot to win the Natty. And bonus, Wisconsin emptied the tank on MSU, and together with Michigan set basketball back 20 years yesterday. The result will be the first-round losses for both.
I don't know that it'll linger at all, but it was obvious that Wisconsin was out of gas, and I tweeted out the idea, and it wasn't me, wasn't saying take Michigan in the points for sure, because I've also seen Michigan at one point didn't look very good. Sometimes the team that's played 3 straight games doesn't have it either, but you knew Wisconsin was going to struggle. The fourth day is almost always a difficult shooting day, and the Big Ten showcases it as like its pre-brackets showcase. So that's what people think Big Ten basketball is. Nice job, Big Ten.
David Jackson. Tough calls going against MSU and costing the game will refocus the team. Knowing the price, 5 bad choices will mean no more Carr 3-point attempts early in the shot clock, no Booker crazy drives, no offensive moves by Cooper from beyond his range, and better effort on ball screens. And Baked, can't decide if I should buy a Sunday ticket now or do it on Saturday. Will fans of the losers from Friday sell Sunday tickets on Ticketmaster and unload them? Prices will be cheaper Saturday afternoon than they are today. And who here will go with me to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on Saturday? Couch, what are you doing? You got time.
Well, we actually have we have to do the press conference and all that. We have to work Saturday. Saturday's like between games.
But when you're done with that, you and David go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't be against it. I've been there. It's fun. If you've never been, I would recommend going. And it sounds like David's going to. It's a cool thing. Cleveland's a good town.
If you like rock and roll.
If you don't, if you do. If you like donuts.
It's a good time.
Yeah. No, it's to his first point, well, to your question, it's a good question. I don't know. My thought on this is some people will, and maybe the losers of the other game will sell their tickets because there will be, some people thinking they're going to get there, but not the Bryant game. I would just get your tickets. I think it's going to be a pretty hot ticket for Michigan State. People are going to be excited. I don't know if I'd mess around.
But if you're going alone, though, you could, honestly, 100%. You could wait to the end.
Well, it depends how many people you're going with. Because it's easy to find a single ticket. You can walk up to the arena, people will be selling tickets.
Even
scalpers.
two. I think with two people, you could still get away with waiting
100%.
until early on.
And going alone, by the way, my mother, she'll go to alone. She'll want to go to an MSU basketball game occasionally. That she has friends she goes with who have tickets. But, like, if she wants to go alone, I can get her a lower bowl seat pretty inexpensively because you know what is always the easiest ticket to get? A single. And double will be like 4 times the price of one single. So
especially if you say it's for mom. Like,
yeah,
oh man, just take the ticket.
And people always like if your mom's going too, that you show up in the row, she makes friends, everybody there likes her. It's like it's great. And people go, "What? Your son wouldn't come with you?" And
Now he's that one down there, guy with the Muskox flannel on. Parker Weiss next. The Big Ten tourney means nothing. It's sad, but it's true. Doesn't help or hurt you in terms of seeding, and it hasn't had a meaning for a while now. It's sad. I'm almost glad we didn't have to play again Sunday because it wouldn't have mattered. And bonus, also, I won't be doing any more shout-outs, LOL. Sorry about that. T.O. did enjoy it, though. You guys are the opposite of #ass. Rube rules. Thanks, man. What up, T.O.?
Yeah.
I guess.
Another shout-out to T.O.
It's a good bit.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, same here. The Big Ten tournament doesn't mean nothing, but it just you can tell it in the way the coaches deal with losses and the way they deal with wins, and it just it means something. It just doesn't mean everything like other things do.
It just comes down to the simple fact that Michigan was trying to say it was better than a regular season.
And they're doing that to get under your skin,
right?
Because that's what rival fan bases do.
Yeah,
and Michigan does it better than most.
Yeah, neurotic pants. Number one, Graham saying that MSU was bound to receive a 2 seed is an example of journalistic conformity and self-fulfilling prophecy. #blue wall. 2, every time the national anthem is sung or a veteran is honored, all fans should make animal noises, rub their genitals, and pour beer over themselves. #America.
I think this is Mr. Neurotic Pants saying the way we treat veterans. That's basically what we're doing. Because I don't think that he honestly, he's not saying to basically piss on veterans here. To his first point, the one I'd rather dig into, there is. I did think about this at one point. The idea that we were all sort of accepting MSU as a 2 seed, and was anybody actually doing the work as they were winning to look at their resume? Is it worthy of a 1 seed? Because you can make that argument. And I went back through it, and I would certainly say MSU was closer to a 1 than a 3. But the problem is the SEC is viewed a certain way, and the wins that some of those schools had it was tough to say it decisively. But I do think there should have probably been the bracket matrix should not have had everybody having MSU as a 2. Like somebody there should have said, "Hey, wait a second, look at who they've beaten and all that." I think MSU's biggest problem though was, in the Big Ten they'd have some great wins, they have some real quality wins. Outside of league play, North Carolina didn't wind up being very good, right? Kansas didn't wind up being very good. Like the wins and they lost to Kansas actually, but the games that were sort of their landmark games didn't wind up being quality opponents, and that I think hurt them a little bit.
Kermit the Spartan next. There has got to be a faster, more efficient way to do official reviews in any sport. Just do it already.
The one at the late in the first half of the MSU Wisconsin game was awful.
Dude, the end of the Wisconsin, but when it went off the guy's foot on the baseline, and it's like the ref was clearly right there. He called the right. It was Wisconsin's ball. It's like, all right. And the other ref's like, oh, no, we got to review it.
There's just
I get it, but come on. There's some that, did you see it? Did I see it? No. Okay, then we got to review it.
To me, they've got to take it out of the refs on the court hands. They've got to have replay assist, right? They've got to have people elsewhere that can do this faster, and that's that.
Dude, there's a guy on the. Isn't there one guy on the? Could see it goes off the guy's foot, right?
Yeah.
All right. Nope. It's off. He made the right call. I don't know. There has to be a way. David Cox, that officiating was ass. Makes you realize how important Jax is to this team. His 2 first-half fouls were absolutely not fouls by him. And if you watched that trash game on Sunday, Wisconsin did the same thing, but this time no foul calls. I digress. MSU Natty is coming.
I didn't look back at the fouls. It's one game I did not watch back. So where we were sitting was not as close as we sometimes are. So I don't know for sure. But that's the problem with the 5 fouls, right? Is that it just takes one bad call to alter the game. And so that's why you don't have 5 fouls. And again, this is logic. If I was running, everything would prevail, and I'm not.
Some dude next, number 1 in this Big Ten, 17 wins for a conference champion will never be exceeded. 2, my favorite part of the Holloman shove is that he shoved both of them at the same time, 1 arm each. And baked. How does one realistically wash a muskox flannel when they are clearly impervious to any and all forces of nature?
This is a really good question, right? Now, I will say this: the muskox flannels, I usually air dry them the first time, just because they are 100% cotton. But I dry them regularly.
Did Brad Hoos tell you that, or did you do that on your own?
No, I just read the label.
Oh,
but some of
that's what the label says.
I think so.
Oh,
but the others, about half of them, I have actually just dried regularly. I just didn't realize it the first time. And they've been fine, and they still fit, and they still look great on my,
mine are fantastic. I haven't done any of that.
Yeah, no, it is a strong flannel that is capable of handling washers and dryers, and keeps its softness and shape, and that's part of the durability of them. Like, these are flannels that will last you a long time, and you can just tell the quality when you have it on there, and that's why they're a great gift. Again, go muskox.com and fix it in post, all one word, for $15 off your flannel purchase. Great time of year for a flannel purchase. The idea that 17 wins for a conference champion will never be exceeded, I don't think it'll be regularly exceeded. That's for sure. I think it will be. At some point, you'll have a really, truly great team. And we've seen teams win 18 and stuff like that. But it is harder now, right? Because it's a deeper league. You're traveling more, and I don't think you'll see teams from the West Coast ever do it. And the teams on the West Coast are going to have interesting conversations in how they recruit, because I think it's going to hurt them. I think this was a real slog for UCLA and Oregon and them, and I think one of the things I would do if I were them is I would try to recruit the Midwest, take advantage of Chicago and Detroit, and say, hey, you can come live in L.A., but play half your games in the Big Ten in the Midwest in front of friends and family who can get to you easier. So you get best of both worlds. Come live in L.A. all year, and that would be my recruiting pitch if I were in one of those places. We are going to take a really quick break. We come back, more of your takes. Couch in the Rue, presented by Pure Options Craft Cannabis, and our Monday afternoon show by Muskox Quality Flannels.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeeper's Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carry-out menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit midtownbrewingcompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented as always by Pure Options Craft Cannabis. Make Pure Options part of your March Madness. There's going to be some great specials at pureoptions.com or at any location. 3 in Lansing. You got them in Muskegon, in Mount Pleasant, Detroit. Go to pureoptions.com or download the app today to check locations and deals. You can join their Pure Perks loyalty program and have your Pure Options experience tailored to you. You will enjoy the quality. You'll enjoy the difference. You'll enjoy the experience and how you are treated at Pure Options. And our Monday afternoon show brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Look your very best. Feel your best. And I'm telling you, this month, backyard, patio, hangouts, beer, you can start to do that stuff when you have great Muskox flannels. You can look your best, feel your best, and be outdoors in March and April. It's fantastic. Jason, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Were you ready? All right. Boz in West Michigan, reasonable take. It's time for everyone to start calling out the committee on their objective and selection in their seating process. The amount of coincidences in this bracket is ridiculous. Potential MSU or Marquette revenge game in the second round. Danny Wolf potential to see Yale in the second round. MSU and Michigan in the same region. Bill Self and versus John Calipari first round with the winner playing Rick Pitino. UNC even getting in. At this point, they just need to come out and say that they're trying to boost early round ratings. And bake take. For all the deep throating the SEC has gotten this year, they don't get a team into the championship game.
Well, that would be big in sort of setting them back and saying this wasn't what it looked like. Especially, we'll see what they get into the Final Four, because you can be a great league. Like, one of the things I've always argued with the Big Ten is people say, well, the Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since Michigan State, right? And so the Big Ten sucks. But when you look at the Big Ten's Final Fours, they've had just as many. And when you're trying to determine a league, depth of quality is just as important. So, like, just because you don't have the best team, like, you know, if Gonzaga won 15 straight national titles, that wouldn't mean the West Coast Conference was that great, right? It would just mean Gonzaga was great, and you don't get to just ride those coattails to it. To the first part, I've always, and I understand that those who have been in the room doing the brackets in the and like they've done media things where you could do a mock exercise, and a lot of times it just comes out this way. But man, ever since like Loyola and Loyola played Illinois in the second round, and just some of the mid-major on mid-major crime they've done over the years when you have two great stories and stuff like that. Just, I'm sorry, you'd have to convince me otherwise. I think they do enjoy some of these matchups.
Rocco from Chicago. Number one, they should change the first 4 to only bubble matchups. Match up the last 4 in mid-majors against the last 4 in Power 5 teams. 2, don't fall for the McNeese love. Will be a popular upset pick, but they beat up on a weak league. Wade is out the door, as are most of the players. 3, MSU hockey Frozen 4 and basketball Sweet 16 is the floor.
It's a pretty good floor. The hockey to the Frozen Four is the one that you just never know. Single elimination tournament in a sport that should never be single elimination. And so I'm going to write that again and again and again until they get that through their thick skulls to change it if they want. I mean, it's just dumb. And I understand people say, well, it's never going to change. Why not? If it's not going to change, the people who aren't going to change it need to have that on like their tombstones and their obits because that's just dumb. It should change. You've got a Big Ten tournament in hockey that lasts 3 freaking weeks after a 47-week regular season, and they play best of 3 in the first round. Now you're doing single elimination these 2. None of this stuff makes sense. And then they take a week off not to go against the Final Four, even though these are sports that don't really have the same fan bases very rarely. You could easily play a regional final, series, best of 3 that weekend on home campus sites. And there is no good logical reasoning for why they do it other than it delegitimizes their national champion. It does, because the number of times top teams lose before the Frozen Four, I understand it in the Frozen Four. You're creating an event. It's a weekend, single elimination, whatever. You've gotten there. You've gotten the banner. But those first 2 rounds, those ought to be over 2 weekends. They ought to be best out of 3 series. You ought to be trying to get your best quality in there, and there's no excuse otherwise.
MZA next. MSU has a cakewalk to the Sweet 16. And from MSU Stan. Michigan State got the perfect first-round matchup against Bryant. Tom in March is a different beast, and this team is built to make a deep run. Bryant might keep it close early, but the team's depth and defense will wear them down. MSU by 20+.
Yeah, I do think MSU wins this. I don't know.
That would be great.
I just have a sense that it'll be. I don't know it'll be a complete annihilation, but I just have a sense this will be a comfortable double-digit win. That, from what I think Bryant's a good team. Michigan State's a very, very good team, and I think you have to trust that a little bit.
Merbies next. MSU will have its hands full with Bryant, a rare low major with size and shooting, coached by an up-and-coming young coach who knows Izzo. It's a recipe to make me nervous going into Friday night.
They are, yeah. I mean, that thing, and not to counter what I just said, the thing about Bryant that is they look the part. They don't look like a low major. Like we've seen teams like Bryant. Like Bryant's only been Division I for like 17 years. We've seen teams like Bryant come into Breslin and just not look like, they just look like they played at a lower level. And they don't have that appearance to them. And but they don't have the depth. They don't have, and the thing that Bryant doesn't have is they're sort of a poor man's MSU in certain ways. And I like the way they play it, but I don't think they're a team that's going to shoot, just have one of those days where they just hit a zillion shots. And, famous last words. But that's the stuff you got to be really careful. That's what beat them in 2016.
Tyler, $5 on the money line of every single underdog in the NCAA tournament. Who says no?
Well, I'm sure the Firekeepers folks at Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook wouldn't mind us doing that because we give away a lot of money. It would be interesting to exercise every underdog in the tournament to would you come out on top or not? Would there be enough upsets?
I'm going to let Tyler do it, and I'm going to see where the numbers come back.
Tyler, I'd be very curious what you get out of this because if you're willing to do it, we would happily report your findings.
Graham Carpenter, MSU's big men are taking over against Bryant. Jackson Kohler is dropping a 10-point, 10-rebound double-double, while Zapawa and Booker team up for 15 points and 5 blocks. The Spartans win by 20+, starting a South region run.
Your pronunciation of Zapawa and adjustment there has been pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got to say.
Well, I mean, if we get mad at the Trey Holloman thing.
Right? We should get it right.
And Holloway, I get it. I didn't know. I heard Zapawa on the big, I think Robbie Hummel did it in one game, and I was like, Zapawa? Are they doing that right? Okay.
No, Izzo
So I just figure, I mean, if that's your name, it's not like it's Cockburn or anything. It's
no,
a
Izzo
Pollard.
doesn't get it right. But then again, he calls everything the white elephant in the room. So yeah, there's
Cockburn.
Big Z, I'll respect it. T-Bone's dad. There is nothing lamer than experts going straight chalk and picking all 1 seeds to make it to the Final Four, which has transpired only once. Grow some stones and pick at least 2 non-1 seeds, which is the historical trend.
But which ones? Which ones?
T-Bone's dad, you would hate to see my bracket I filled out this morning. Holy chalk, what it was, man. I had 1-2 seed in there.
I do remember at one point running a bracket in college, and one of the guys, and I was at Columbia College, Chicago, so a lot of art students, film students, not a huge mega March Madness crew, but they always enjoyed it. No, I always had fun because they got around and
people
watch the
picking the
games.
mascot they like.
There's some of that, but there was one guy who was like, "Wait a second, so the seeds are the teams that's supposed to win, the better seed?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay," and so he just picked the chalk, and he won the pool.
Yeah.
I was like, "Dang it, that's."
And then you pushed him down a flight of stairs, and then Story's been great ever since.
Yeah, story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company or something like that.
Richard Kane, bonus, North Carolina. Their AD was the tournament chair. Included in this tournament is criminal.
Criminal.
When you find out that he gets $104,000,
that makes
bonus.
it worse. It makes it worse. It makes it worse. Yeah. And Richard,
It makes it worse because I think about getting $110K like just right in your direct to your bank account every month.
Well, you
Holy
would have done the
shit.
same thing if you were the
1,000%. That's
Yeah.
why nobody lets me in charge of shit. I definitely would have done that. Absolutely. If I come back to North Carolina, everybody's looking at me. Bubba, why didn't we get in the tournament? I mean, yeah. Like, yeah, please, guys, let him in here.
You'd have had it in a duffel bag.
Absolutely. Jay Riemenschneider. Michigan fans were way more. By the way, though, if you're making $1.25 million, though, I'm letting the 100,000 go because it's gonna. What is it gonna look like?
Yeah,
you
that's
got
what I'm
to
saying.
back that down. You're getting 1.25 million a year. Anyway, Jay Riemenschneider. Michigan fans were way more geeked up in the entire time in Indy than they were in Ann Arbor for that last game. You may be right. Michigan basketball are a much bigger deal nationwide than in the state. And baked, it wasn't a foul, but the ref still should have called it in the moment, then stopped the clock and looked confirming it wasn't.
Which player are we talking about here?
The last play, Fears, with
Fears,
the 3,
yeah.
which I agree. I absolutely agree with. You're going to sit there and you review 50 things at the end of that game. You should at least look at it. Because that's really, it was a good no call.
It was a great no
right?
call. Yeah.
But in the moment, out of all the calls, you sit there, review.
Yeah.
You need to look at that.
To Jay's point, look, and there's nothing wrong with like having your preferences about things and caring about something more than other places. If UConn, in Iowa, Iowa's a better example right now. Iowa women's basketball outdraws men's basketball, and they care more about that right now. And now they're upset about that, and they're firing Fran McCaffrey because of it. But if that's your thing, there's nothing wrong with having your thing. And it's just you just have to recognize that when things aren't your thing. And that right now with basketball in Michigan, it's been like that forever. And I've said this before. If you look at the metrics, and we see the readership numbers of the 8 major sports in Michigan, Tigers, Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, Michigan State football, Michigan State basketball. Michigan basketball has always been 8. It just always has been. And this, it just doesn't resonate the way the other 7 do.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. The SEC is overrated and will not have a team in the Final Four. And bonus, Javi Baez will be out of baseball by the end of the All-Star break.
I can see
Kevin, what do you know?
Yeah.
Seriously, I want to be in this. I want to be a part of this bonus take. It's not baked.
No.
Do you know something?
No.
Please tell me.
No, this is not.
God, is it real?
Yeah. I hope this isn't pure options doing the talking
Jesus
here.
Christ, we don't have a shortstop.
You make this happen, Kevin. We'll have a Muskox flannel.
Dude, I think
send your way.
I think Javi Baez is Javi Baez in the opening day roster though, like starting like at shortstop. No Sweeney. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a long summer. Alex Mayer, number 1, losing on Saturday was the best case scenario for this MSU team long term. Let them rest for an extra day after getting a taste of a quick turnaround, all while giving the coaching staff leverage to not allow the team to, as Izzo puts it, get fat and sassy.
It's the American way, except America has gotten soft.
Oh, shit, there's 2. 2, a game being played in Cleveland, tipping at 10 p.m. at the earliest is scheduling malpractice.
The reason I don't hate it is it's at least a Friday. Like what pisses me off is somebody who used to be a kid who used to try to convince their dad to, like, let them stay up for games and stuff like that, and you negotiate it when you're, like, 7 years old. Well, if I take a nap, can I do this? It's a Friday night at least.
Yeah.
And so a kid, he may be exhausted because he was, up early for school or whatever, but it's Saturday morning. Going into a weekend, it's March Madness. It's a little different. 10 p.m. is a time they want Michigan State on TV because a lot of people will be watching on a Friday night. If this was Sunday night, I'd say that's ass. That sucks for a lot of people. But on a Friday night when going into a weekend, it's just not quite as bad.
Original Dark Mantonio, the Big Ten tourney must be played earlier. It once again proves it doesn't mean much. I know metrics matter, but Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Maryland were all pretty much the same, tied for second place. Michigan beat all three in consecutive days at a neutral site, won a tourney title, and still got seeded under them. And bonus, compared to the blowouts on Friday, the excitement and endings of the three games on Saturday and Sunday made for instant classics.
I mean, yeah, we said this about the Big Ten tournament. It needs to be, if it just ended Saturday even, it would really do the trick in a lot of ways, and it would feel more significant, but it would allow that game to be part of the factoring into the NCAA tournament, but it would also give that team a chance to marinate in it. It would give that team a chance to, for a full day, celebrate as having done something before they're moving on themselves. I mean, I just think it's not right for the schools either, and it's just whatever. I'm sure there's financial reasons it's done the way it is, and that'll be the reason it always is.
Scott Yu next. Kohler and Richardson need to stay out of foul trouble in this tournament. MSU as a team needs to adjust to the ref's whistle and attack teams accordingly. And for buying tickets in Cleveland for Friday and Sunday, how do you figure out what will be the MSU sections in the arena? I know this is not a take, but wanted to buy tickets soon. And bonus, North Carolina, their AD was the tournament chair. Included in this tournament, wait, did I read this already? Did I read Scott Hughes?
Do we have two? We might have.
I don't know. That bonus seems familiar.
Okay, it's possible. It's possible. Apologies.
All right.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right. Eric Smith. Number one, you have to wonder if Indiana having a lame duck coach factored in North Carolina. Thank you for stopping me, though.
Oh, wait. No, I think it was the ticket. Somebody else asked it. That's why.
No, the bonus take.
Oh, the criminal.
North Carolina, the criminal. AD was criminal. This was somebody else's bonus, too.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, good point. Yeah, sorry. Yep. My bad. I should have seen that.
No, it's fine. I enjoy it. Eric Smith. Number one, you have to wonder if Indiana having a lame duck coach factored in North Carolina getting selected ahead of them. Two, how does Brad Underwood still have a job? Consistent results below talent level. Three, this team has been my favorite basketball season. This has been my favorite basketball season in years.
I think it has for a lot of Michigan State fans. Yeah, Brad Underwood is a whole new roster, so you can say talent, but it's also youth, and we've seen why experience matters. There are varying opinions on Brad Underwood. Some people think he's a pretty good coach, others don't, and I'd probably fall somewhere in the middle.
It could go either way?
Could go either way, yeah.
Dave Lankin next. Since the Big Ten Tournament Championship doesn't seem to matter for the higher-seeded teams, just leave the top 3 or 4 teams out of the Big Ten Tournament and let everyone else in. Call it the Big Ten Conference, also Rand's Tournament. This gives our best teams some downtime, too.
But nobody wants to be in that. Who wants to win? Nobody wants to play in the NIT of the Big Ten tournaments. Like the only way it works to have any gravitas is if everybody's playing for something together, even if not everybody's as motivated. You have to have everybody in it at the top. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. Even if you said the Big Ten regular season champion, the Big Ten champion doesn't play in it, I still think it would take too much out. You got to have everybody in there because the point is being able to prove something that you were unable to in the regular season.
Couch on fire next. Ironic that Wisconsin beat MSU with a portal player and then lost to 2 portal players. Also, Michigan found out how much a Big Ten tourney championship means to the committee. Zilch. Bonus. Did you put this again? This is the bonus. This is the same bonus. The North Carolina, their AD was the tournament chair.
How is this happening? How is this happening?
It's a good bit, dude.
I didn't mean to do this. I don't know what's happened. I mean, I was editing them quickly, but I don't know. People must have been putting the same one. All right?
In the same wording, the same parentheses and everything.
I mean, I do know how this happens because people put them in different tweets, and sometimes the bonus one pops up first, and and then I screw something up. I apologize. I don't know what's happened. I apologize to everybody for being
Just
me.
looking ahead, is Hans Jurgen the last person?
He is.
Because okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because it's the end. Mike Stiddy, though. First, the black things around the basketball that link all of the orange leather together are called seams, not laces. If you can tell Spiro Dedes, how do you say his name? Dedes, that we'd appreciate not having to hear, finds the laces 20 times this weekend. Bonus, Jace is shooting over or under 75% from the right wing this year. Over.
He is more than anybody that I've covered in a little while. And even more than Tyson Walker. There were some periods where Tyson Walker was like this, but he's a guy who, when he shoots, I believe it's going in. And I'm always surprised when it doesn't. And that's a sign of efficiency. It really is. It's how you feel when a shot goes up, right? It's if you believe that's probably going in, that's somebody who over time has been efficient to your eyes.
Finds the laces. Does that bother you? Or
It does not.
No? Okay. Mr. Benjen, number one, if I set MSU's over-under win total in the NCAAs at 3, I'm taking the push. 2, for MSU to win this thing, Jaden Akins needs to shoot fewer than 4 3-pointers a game. More than that means that they're losing. And 3, Kohler will average a double-double in the tourney.
So I think Akins needs to just make the key threes. There are games where what Akins has done a pretty good job of is how a team plays him. If he's getting open threes, he's got to take them. Now, obviously, there are degrees to that, and if it's not working, it's not working. But if the way a team defends them is by giving Akins open in-rhythm threes, you want him to take them. And if he takes 5 or 6 and hits 3, that would be the ideal situation.
And last, who do we got?
Hans.
Lastly, Hans here. Hans Jurgen. Number 1, I take back the bad things I said about Carson Cooper. 2, Booker needs to drink a pot of coffee before each game. And 3, will Izzo run and gun with Auburn if given a chance? And bonus, North Carolina, their AD. Oh, no. Bonus, John Tanji will be 24 next month. Get out. Or college basketball. Get out of. You're really killing me today. Get out of college basketball, old man, he says.
I sometimes just need the listeners, even though they're producing our show, to be a little better with their copy editing.
We ask enough, I guess.
I know we do. We do. We appreciate all of you. Hans, you included. Everybody. Thank you for producing our show, as always. And we will be back on Wednesday. We'll have Harry on. We'll pick some brackets. We'll probably do some Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We'll figure all that out. And what will be our last show for the week before the NCAA tournament begins. We appreciate Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com. And again, join their Pure Perks loyalty program. Download the app. Just really, the app is really, really easy to use. And if you want to look better than me and Jason and like your best self and feel like your best self, go muskox.com. Promo code FIXITINPOST for your Muskox flannel. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Room.